They're just now getting new video after severe weather. Look at these pictures. Massive tornadoes ripping through parts of northwest Nebraska. One person so far reported dead, 16 others seriously hurt.
Is going to be in textbooks in the years to come. In my lifetime, I have not seen twin tornadoes quite like this. There it is in Pilger, Nebraska. It's so hard to have these two strong, mature tornadic mesocyclones so close together. It just rarely happens. And it cut that town of Pilger, Nebraska in half. We have winds probably of 175 to 200 miles per hour. Catastrophic damage. Search and rescue crews are still on scene.
But first, new images tonight of a new and massive twister. This time you can see what appears to be 4 funnels inside this sweeping tornado.
Oh my gosh.
This was the moment across the prairies of South Dakota when families here knew they had to run for cover.
2 on the ground at once.
Another set of twin tornadoes were moving into Wessington Springs. When it hit 15 miles east, you could see 4 smaller whirlwinds circling inside one of the tornadoes.
No.
At the Kaufman farm, they lost everything. It was a...
Oh my gosh.
The same weather system caused tornadoes in South Dakota last night. Residents of Wessington Springs took cover in the town's storm shelter.
These were pictures families took with their cell phones. Early reports show the winds reached 127 miles an hour, damaging more than a dozen homes and destroying businesses.
14 million Americans in the path of severe weather tonight. And just look at the heavy rain.
Parts of this area could see 8 inches of rain by tonight. Minneapolis and St. Paul are now on pace to have their wettest year on record.
Floods swept into neighborhoods. 5 inches of rain fell in Mankato, Minnesota, causing mudslides. This photo was taken in Pittsburgh, where lightning strikes lit up the sky and sparked fires overnight.
As night turned into day, residents living here on 18th Street Southwest can now see the aftermath of the strong storms that ripped through Monday night.
Underway in Platteville after severe storms rolled through overnight. The city's southwest side suffered the worst, with trees and power lines down and storefronts shattered. 5 people were injured from flying debris.
Of the United States, severe weather made for a miserable and in some cases very dangerous weekend. In Indiana, 29 counties in the state were declared federal disaster areas after suffering major damage and flooding from a series of storms last week that dumped over 10 inches of rain and caused the death of at least 1 person. In Wisconsin, at least 3 homes were washed away into the rapid currents of Lake Delton, one of the areas of the Midwestern U.S. hit hardest by flooding. In other parts of the U.S. Midwest, rain continued to fall and tornadoes touched down, taking out trees and damaging dozens of homes. On the East Coast, it was extreme heat from the mid-Atlantic states to New England that made the weekend unbearable.
3 tornadoes were confirmed today, but the positive news, no one died as a result of these storms. The hardest hit areas are Platteville, Verona, and the west side of Madison.
First there was West Nile. Now health experts are warning about another virus carried by mosquitoes. This one has infected tens of thousands of people throughout the Caribbean, and now Americans are coming down with it too.
This is not a fatal infection, it's just a miserable infection.
The chikungunya virus, or CHIKV as it's known, is a mosquito-borne virus which has been confirmed in 15 states, including New York. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 25 cases have been reported in Florida alone.
The chikungunya fever will last 3, 4, 5 days. You're miserable, then you'll get better. We can treat you symptomatically.
A Stockton man claims he got severely ill and nearly died after swimming in a popular lake.
I couldn't move. I couldn't look around. It was like I was a zombie.
There's no sign now of Luis Lopez's life-threatening ordeal.
You had how high of a fever?
107.
107.
The Stockton man says he was hospitalized for days after swimming at the Woodward Reservoir in Oakdale.
I lost 28 pounds.
In 1 week?
1 week. I couldn't eat nothing. I was just laying in like this.
Do you think that you were going to survive?
I didn't think so.
It was a waterborne bacteria that made him sick. A bacteria so dangerous they'd have to notify the proper authorities. And yet, there were plenty of swimmers in the water Monday.
A U.S. Security Institute estimates that Iran could amass material for a nuclear bomb in 3 months or less, while Iranian experts cite a time frame 6 times longer, a dispute going to the heart of talks between Tehran and global powers. Differences over how fast Iran could break out a nuclear weapon complicate the quest for a deal by late July, under which Iran would scale back its atomic energy program in exchange for a lifting of crippling sanctions. The West wants Iran to significantly cut back its uranium enrichment capacity to ensure it would not be able to quickly produce a nuclear bomb.
Gaza residents are preparing for war after Israel accused Hamas of kidnapping 3 Israeli teens, sources in the coastal enclave told the Times of Israel Wednesday. The population widely believes that the Hamas leadership was indeed involved in the abduction and that after Israel has finished dealing with the kidnapping saga, it will turn its attention to the Gaza Strip. The independent Palestinian news agency Al-Square reported Wednesday that Israeli special forces had raided the West Bank home of a prisoner who was freed in the 2011 Gilad Shalit deal and deported to Gaza. Israeli forces, aided by peace security, have been engaged in a widespread operation against Hamas in the West Bank since the kidnapping Thursday night south of Jerusalem of Ile Frak, 19, Gilad Shar, 16 and Naftali Frankel, 16. The crossing will only be opened if Mahmoud Abbas's Palestinian Authority security forces are in place in Gaza, with strict security arrangements that allow Israeli and international oversight, but such a solution is not likely, the official said.
Pictures posted today on a militant website appear to show masked fighters of the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria murdering hundreds of people in the cities insurgents now control. In some cases, they are reportedly even beheading people. These images will only sharpen the sectarian tensions in Iraq. Meanwhile, in Basra and Baghdad, hundreds of volunteers answering a call by Iraq's top Shiite political and religious leaders to take up arms and fight the insurgents. They are trying to dig in and protect the capital and reverse the momentum of the militants. But Iraq is splitting up along religious and ethnic lines, and Iran is threatening to jump into the conflict, pledging to help the government of Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki, who is a Shia Muslim, like Iran's leaders.
We are also learning more about the leader of this terror group, a man described as the new bin Laden, the heir to bin Laden. It turns out he had been in U.S. custody until 2009 over in Iraq, when he was then handed over to the Iraqi government as part of our troop drawdown. And then he was released. Now he has led this effort to create an Islamic caliphate, a nation-state ruled by harsh, radical Islamic law and dedicated to killing, quote, non-believers and spreading its power as far as it can.
But when we handed him off, he knew we were from New York, and he knew he was going to get out, in my mind, because as he left, he told us, he told me and the soldiers that were around me, I'll see you in New York.